Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Morning.
I'd like to call the Door County Board of Supervisors to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Okay, we have 19 present, 2 excused. Presentation of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence. We have the unassigned fund balance. We have a letter from Senator Baldwin concerning Resolution 2018-33. We have award notification, Best of the Midwest Media Fest. Linda, would you like to address that?
I would be pleased to present that award. So on behalf of the Town of Sevastopol Cable Station, and we'll have Laddie Chapman, our cable director extraordinaire, come over here to the podium as well. He did all of the work. So in May of this year, the Wisconsin Community Media Festival held a program in Oshkosh, and I am pleased to report that the Town of Sevastopol Cable Channel, in conjunction with the County of Door, was awarded an award of merit for the Door County Board tour of our new community center.
Right.
So, Laddie, perhaps you'd want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh, sure. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody that made this possible. My mother.
I'll time you.
Oh, well, I only have half an hour. Okay. But I would like to thank my actors, and most of them are in this room, because everybody that was on the county board last fall made the tour. If you haven't seen the video, you can go to doorbell.net/video and scroll down. You'll find it there somewhere. All I did was follow you guys around and put it together with a little music. And it was good enough, I guess, that Wisconsin Community Media liked it. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Laddie.
Item 6, public comment. Is there any public comment this morning? Linda?
I don't know who all attended the open house at the Russell's Union Gardner Fire Station and Emergency Services Building on Sunday, but I would just like to compliment all of the first responders, all of the emergency staff. Aaron LeClaire, they did a fine job of conducting the tour. They looked very professional. If you saw Aaron there, he was outstanding. And also thank you to the Sister Bay Fire Department and its ladder truck. The hugest flag I've ever seen in my life was hanging over the driveway. You actually drove under the flag as you entered. So it's a beautiful building, and thank you to everyone who helped with that. So
It's beautiful. Thank you. Approval of the minutes of May 22nd, 2018 regular meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
Laura. Questions, comments, changes? Kathy?
No.
Okay. Nothing? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
So we can just record it, Danny, or if we have to.
You got to put yes. Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying, we can manually record as well. But we did.
Okay, if there's no other changes or comments on the minutes, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolutions, 2018-39, non-commercial hangar site lease agreements. Julie Vander Meesch and Paul Carmody. John?
I make a motion to approve of Resolution 2018-39.
Second it.
If I may say, this is just our standard operating procedure every time we renew the lease at the airport. Nothing new, nothing different.
Okay. Any questions? Since this involves money, we'll go to the voter board. That has passed on a vote of 20 yes, 1 absent. Thank you. Resolution 2018-40, Washington Islands Emergency Services Program. Joel?
I'd like to make a motion to approve 2018-40.
I'll second it.
Basically, in a nutshell, what this is saying is for basically ever in my lifetime, the county has had EMS service on the island in conjunction with the county, similar to how Brussels has done down south. Basically, what's happening is the facility is getting old and antiquated and outdated, and not enough space for future expansion and growth. And it's been going on for years, discussion back and forth between the town and the county on the best way to move forward. And this resolution is, in a nutshell, stating that, things will stay the same, but we're gonna agree to have the county look at its options, the town look at its options, and then just stick together and go forward, and however that might be. So it's a reaffirmation of what's actually taking place and continuing what will happen in the future, so.
Go ahead, Gordon.
Sure. So just in the back, the town chairman is here, Gordon Yeager. The resolution that's before us, they drafted a similar resolution, and Gordon was here just to explain what the town considered.
Well, thank you very much. The town board on Washington Island appreciates your considering this. And I already handed you a copy of the companion resolution that the town board adopted on June 20th. So we're looking forward to working with the county on this project in the future, and if there are any questions, I can try to answer them, but the work is ahead.
Correct.
Any questions? All right. Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you.
David, if you don't mind, I could just do a quick
Please.
explanation. Could you switch the screen? So just for everyone's explanation to kind of maybe just lock home what Joe had discussed. So what you're looking at is I don't have a pointer, so I'm just going to stand there for 1 second. Apologize. So this is the site that we're talking about. And our existing emergency services is in this building right here, just for reference. And again, what the issue is or what we're trying to work on is that just through our discussions, the town of Washington with their fire services is looking to expand in that building. So in essence, they were going to expand and also improve their existing facility. And the portion they wanted to use is the garage bays that we're using. So in essence, it's not that we're getting kicked out, but they want to be able to use that for their portion, and then we were going to look at expanding onto that existing facility. If you look at the site and the layout of the buildings, because the building to the south is their municipal services building, the site really becomes too small if we start looking at putting on an addition. There's issues with the firewall separation between the two facilities, and also this is square footage of space. And also long-term, there's been some discussions in terms of their needs as far as whether they expand their municipal services building and so forth. So really I know I've been working with David, we've been there, I think 2 years ago, we had some initial discussions. We went through the process of hiring a surveyor to actually survey the site and look at options. And it really does come down to that the site, long-term, is just too small for their long-term uses and also what we're thinking our needs would be as far as the new, I guess, addition, if you consider for our ambulances. So really what the resolution is just saying that, hey, we're strong partners. We want to continue to be strong partners, but this site is too small, and that the county is going to be looking for a new spot for our ambulances to be stored. But we'll continue to work together, and they're still going to allow us to stay on site until we find that new location. But really what this does is it gives us the ability to start looking for property, and then have that go through the property committee and then ultimately coming back to county board. But it really just starts putting that part of the process in motion. So I don't know if there's any questions or comments, but I just wanted to give you context of why we're doing this resolution.
Questions? If not, we'll go to the voter board. That has passed 20 yes, 1 absent. Thank you. Resolution 2018-41, approval of gift, grant, and/or donation to the Door County Sheriff's Department. Joel?
Make the motion to approve Resolution 2018-43.
I'll second it.
41.
41.
I'm sorry. What did I say? 2018-43, sorry.
The senior moment.
Making the meeting.
Yes.
It was close. It was another Door County Sheriff.
Sheriff here?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Steve here.
Tammy here, somebody from the sheriff's department? No?
Who was the second on that?
I was.
Well, basically, in a nutshell, the sheriff's department has received a grant for, I should say, for $180,000 for programming needs and stuff in the jail department. So Ken could probably explain a little better than me, but I was hoping that they would have been here to do it, Tammy, but.
Sure, so I can give a little explanation for that. So if you're familiar with Tammy, she has a program that's called Operation Fresh Start. And as part of that program, there's a number of different things that they do to work with, I guess, the jail population in terms of either twofold. One is either working with them once they are released from jail and trying to have them either get education or get the support that they need once they leave. And the other part of this is you'll see in this end, this is actually would be the front end, so it's called a pre-booking. And what this does is that in many cases, if you look at it, if they have to stay in jail, they lose their jobs. There's impacts at home in terms of their families and stuff like that. So what this does is it's a pre-booking program that's a pilot that works with those individuals. That gives them an opportunity to still contribute to the community. And this program's allowed to set up so there's probably 2 parts. One would be a contracted service in terms of being able to work with the individual in terms of some form of counseling. And the other part is just I guess what we consider the software that goes with the pre-booking program and how it works and tracking them and so forth. But again, it's the grant program for $160,000, and it's, again, part of the planning process. That's part of the Fresh Start program that she instituted, so.
Kathy?
And this is $80,000 for 2 years.
Correct. You'll see as part of the resolution, you can see under the one whereas, it shows you the 2 parts of how it's broken down into 2 $80,000 windows, one from 6/1 of 18 to the end of the year, and then the other one would be for the start of the year, January 1st, all the way through next year.
Susan?
Is this the one that's targeted to young offenders with AODA issues that allows them to have a treatment alternative that might keep them out of the criminal justice system?
It depends on the exact circumstance of what they're in, and they have to go through a screening program to make sure that they qualify. So part of the answer is yes, but also there's other individuals that could also qualify.
John?
Is there any ratifications accepting this grant after 2019? Are we going to be tied into anything after that?
No, and that's actually a great question. So what we're looking at for right now for this program, again, it's a where we expend the funds, we'd actually be with a contracted service. In other words, we're contracting it, we're not hiring an employee, so that's a great question. And then the other part that they're talking about is, I think we have talked about in the past, is the Criminal Justice Coordination Council, the CJCC is kind of the acronym. And part of the process might be is that there's a way to also get a planning grant for that as well, should we ever move towards a treatment court. So I guess the only thing I can tell you is that what they're hoping to do is to use these grant dollars with this organization or whoever we contract with to do that, then also try to get additional grant dollars to extend it longer. But again, right now it would be nothing that's going to go on a tax levy.
Anybody else? If not, we'll go to the voter board. That has passed on the vote of 20 yes, 1 absent. Resolution 2018-42, transfer of non-budgeted funds, emergency management communications. We'll start with Kathy.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-42.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Excuse me. This item was approved at the public safety meeting and referred to the finance committee because it was a non-budgeted item, to find the finances. And this is to transfer that monies up to $20,000 out of the contingency expense account.
If I could?
Please.
Just wanted to have just one short discussion, or actually just 2 items just to kind of point out in terms of this discussion. And they came up both at the public safety and also at finance, so I thought I'd just discuss them so that way you feel comfortable with what we're trying to do. The first one is obviously on the department level in terms of our operations for emergency management. So again, the purpose for this vehicle is really for our emergency management communications director to be able to obviously travel throughout the county. But then also if there is an incident, they would use this as, in essence, their vehicle. They call it a command vehicle. But again, in this case, it's not a vehicle with the red, white, or not red, white, and blue, but the police lights. It's actually would probably be set up, I think it's the standard color is a green light. And that's usually what you do is you set up that vehicle with a green light and you'd have your tent or operations there and people would know that that's your command location. So obviously in terms of the vehicle that we're targeting would be something similar to like a Ford Explorer that we have in our fleet, a lot of our fleet now, or a Tahoe if available. And again, the reason why we need something like that is as far as the equipment that's hauled or stored within the vehicle at all times. So I just want to give you context of why we're targeting that type of a vehicle. Also given if you look at the types of situations that may get mobilized, you're looking at in winter some rougher conditions and so forth. So just wanted to give you context for that in terms of the department vehicle and the need. The other part of the discussion was just in terms of the overall cost for emergency management and communications. Just a reminder, when we did this part of the reorganization, for this year, we just projected a little bit of savings of approximately about $12,000 in terms of our operations. And then what we had discussed is that next year, obviously, we'll have a new department that'll be on, quote unquote, the books that we'll bring to you that'll have all the standard operating things, everything from training to, now if we do a vehicle maintenance, conferences and all that stuff like that. You will see some of those costs obviously being drawn out of emergency services. So obviously at that time, Aaron was actually serving in that capacity. So, I mean, obviously the costs related to training and stuff like that should be a direct wash. But again, in terms of how we're operating this was, instead of when we did the design, this was kind of a better design in terms of the 3 captains and breaking this off. So I just want to give you context of what we're doing long-term as far as the department and trying to look at our costs. And obviously, we're very aware of trying to control those. The last item, as far as the discussion actually came up at finance, was actually looking at our overall fleet. In other words, how are we working with our vehicles, not only our fleet vehicles. When I say our fleet vehicles, we have 5 vehicles that we have in the government center in terms of our vehicle fleet. And there's also other vehicles that we have within, whether it's emergency services, our police fleet, or even some of our department vehicles. So I guess the best answer I have for you right now is that of our existing fleet, I guess we don't have a vehicle that would match the need that we're looking for this vehicle. In terms of our fleet though, I will be doing an analysis in terms of whether our fleet is too big or too small, or if there's a way to optimize our fleet. For example, if we have 5 vehicles right now, but then there's, let's say, 3 other vehicles within land use services, soil and water, and some of our other departments that have their own vehicles, is there a way to optimize that? I guess we will be looking at that to see if there's a better way to optimize our vehicles. And the best way I can explain that is that if we feel that we have too many vehicles within our fleet or within a department, in essence, we'll just allow those to expire off the books, and we'll realize the savings at that point in time. But we will be analyzing the fleet both in terms of size, but then also its effectiveness. In other words, for our fleet, should we be going to, in essence, cutting our fleet and just using employee vehicles? So we'll be looking at all of that. I'm working with Mark in terms of the analysis. But I guess in terms of making that decision today, I guess it has an impact in terms of what we look at for our savings long term, but it doesn't have an impact in terms of whether or not we feel we need this vehicle is necessary moving forward. So I'd say, yes, we need this vehicle in some shape or form, and that's why it's here to you today. The reason why we're doing it now is that there's 2 opportunities. One is through what's called the 1033 program, where they can look for surplus vehicles. And another one is that the town of Washington is actually disposing of a Tahoe that has low miles on it, and we could actually consider that as far as a purchase. It's actually going to be brought down at the end of this week to Jim Olson Ford to be reviewed, but I guess we're first on the list if we are interested in purchasing that vehicle. Obviously, we'll go through the checks and do that. But the main idea in this case is that it's partially outfitted, so it'd save us some costs, and we're trying to get a vehicle, again, in my mind, without having to buy something new that has multiple years of life on it, and hopefully, again, a cost-effective approach of doing something instead of buying something new. So if you have any questions, I'm more than willing to ask, but I wanted to give you the explanation that, what was discussed at Finance and also the Public Safety Committee in terms of trying to do our due diligence in terms of the financial side.
Questions, comments? Gary?
I'd just like to make a comment. I'm glad we're able to help. Obviously, emergency services is something we all rely on. I just hope we also keep in mind we have other caretakers of this county, specifically in the Conservation Department, that need staffing, and I'm hoping we can find the funds to help make sure the Conservation Department has the people they need to. Thank you.
Kathy?
The only comment I was going to make, up to the $20,000 that we approved also included, it wasn't just the vehicle itself, it included whatever kind of equipment that had to go on it.
Correct. So this
I mean, it wasn't, that we're going out to spend $20,000 on a vehicle necessarily.
Right, so it's not the full vehicle. So this would be completely outfitted, so it would include the vehicle, obviously any of the badging that we put on the outside, plus it would have radio systems, not probably the full extent that you see in a police vehicle, but it would have obviously communications within the vehicle as far as radio. And like I mentioned before, it will have some lights on it as well.
Anybody else? If not, we'll go to the voter board. That is passed on the vote of 20 yes, 1 absent. Resolution 2016-43, transfer of non-budgeted funds, Door County Sheriff's Department. Once again, Kathy.
I will make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-43.
Second.
Explanation or discussion?
This was also sent to the Finance Committee from the Public Safety Committee regarding the sheriff's vehicle that was damaged. And it was beyond repair. And I believe that one was going to be turned in next year, was it? And so they gave us a fairly decent amount to, the insurance company did, to just let it go. And so we have to buy a vehicle because this one is short now, the fleet is short.
Correct. So just a brief explanation, if there is any good news out of an accident, is that this was a vehicle that was scheduled to be replaced next year. Again, it was through the insurance company. Once we fought the repair cost, it was totaled. So we'll get the funds through the process that will be applied towards the new purchase. Again, since this was part of the main, I guess what I consider the fleet for the patrol division, just to disclose, we already ordered the vehicle, but we have to go through the process just in terms of authorizing because it was not part of the budget process. It doesn't have any impact on the, I guess, the levy side because it's actually part of our vehicle replacement fund. So in essence, what you're authorizing is just to use the funds in advance this year from the vehicle replacement fund to buy the vehicle itself.
So what are we getting from the insurance company?
I think from the insurance company, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's approximately, I think it's like $9,300.
There's 9,000 something, but I
Received
didn't.
a check on Monday of this week for $9,440.
See, I was off a little
See,
bit.
we're off.
And the 24,000 is in addition to that?
Well, what happens is the 24,000 would be for the vehicle, but then there's, I think it's approximately about $5,000 that is used as far as converting the vehicle over, as far as transferring all the radio systems over and the lights. So it ends up being approximately about $32,000. So we will apply the $9,000 obviously off of that. And then obviously there's money that the sheriff's department has been applying to replace this vehicle, and that the balance of those dollars will come from the vehicle replacement fund.
So just do it a year ahead.
Correct.
Anybody else? We will go to the voter board. Gary?
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Has passed 20 yes, 1 absent. Okay. Ordinances, none. Special reports, none. New business, 2018 J1 visa students. I have 3 of the young ladies that work for me. Would you please come up? So as you're aware, we have our sister city relationship, and we worked on getting the J1 visa students. They actually ran out of the Jindazin students, but using the same agency, we were able to get some additional ones within the county. So my understanding is there's going to be about almost 20 or 21 of our Chinese J1 students here this year.
Okay, please use the mic.
Sorry. So there's going to be 20 or 21 of our Chinese J1 students here this year. These are the 3 young ladies that work with me, or I work for them. This is Karina, this is Laura, and Hannah. And they've only been here a week, but they're already running the place.
And they're already on vacation or what?
No, they're on the payroll.
We're going down to Social Security office today.
Oh.
So, all right, so I just wanted them to say hi. So thank you.
Thank you. They have to pay that too.
Any oral committee reports? Review of committee minutes. Vouchers, claims, and bills. Announcements. Our next regular county board meeting is scheduled for July 24th at 9 a.m. Remember that the WCA annual conference is September 23 through 25 in La Crosse. Our meeting per diem code for today is 626. And since we haven't heard from Mr. Fisher yet today,
You'll give me a chance to speak?
give you a chance.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no further business to be transacted today, I'd make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.